Hello everyone. Today we are beginning with the new topic, that is the outbreeding devices. And before starting with the topic, I would like to tell you that based on the previous lectures, you should have by now completed this 6th and the 7th question over here. Complete that. Now, let us move ahead with the today's topic, outbreeding devices. Now, as we normally do, I would like to tell you what is the topic about. Outbreeding devices. Devices, methods, ways. Outbreeding means the pollen grains from one plant or the flower should be transferred to the other flower, not in the same flower. Avoiding self-pollination. In other ways, I can say that nature has made it so that it avoids self-pollination. So, this is the explanation of the title. Outbreeding devices, trying to avoid methods of trying to avoid self-breeding. Trying for out means other flower. Let us start. Majority flowering plants produce hermaphrodite flowers. That means it would be having male and the female parts, the stamen and carpel, in one and the same flower. So what is going to happen due to this? As a result, pollen grains come in contact of stigma of the same flower. Continuous self-pollination results in inbreeding depression. You would not have any variation in this. So, many flowers have developed many methods to avoid self-pollination. The stamens of the same flower are not allowed to fall on the stigma of that flower. Then what is encouraged? Cross-pollination is encouraged. Cross-pollination, that is, if this is the one plant, this is the another plant, then this is a flower, this is another flower. So, the male and the female are present in this. Then the pollen from here will fall on the stigma of this female and self-pollination continues for generations and generations. So this nature wants to avoid. It wishes that the pollens from here are going to the other plant, flower. Correct? Or now, what are the methods for encouraging cross-pollination? So, this is cross-pollination from one to the another. This is one plant and this is another plant. So, plant should change and that would be cross-pollination. Let us begin with the methods to avoid self-pollination and to encourage cross-pollination so that new characters get a chance to combine and bring variation. If self-pollination continues, then there would be no variety. I hope you have understood that why this method is necessary to avoid self-pollination. Now, the first point. Some species, pollen release and stigma receptivity do not take place at the same time. Either the pollen is released first and then the stigma becomes mature to receive the pollen. So what is this? That here this is the male, the anther. Now in this, in the flower, the anthers, the male would release the pollen. So that time the stigma, that is the female present over here, it is not receiving pollens from here to here. So this is maturing first, but this is not maturing. So this is not going to receive. Now in some species, anther and stigma are placed at different positions so that pollen does not take place in contact of the female stigma. How is that possible? Let us see over here. Now, in the flower, this is the stigma, the male anther. Now in this case, this here it will take place the self-pollination. Why? The anthers are going to dehisce, then the pollen will fall on the stigma and self-pollination will take place. You want to avoid this. So what will happen? The stigma is placed like this. The anthers are bending outside. Here is the anther. So when the anthers are dehiscing, pollen will fall away. So this will help cross pollination. So this is another method, second method of encouraging cross pollination. First one was, it is avoiding the falling of pollen from this flower to the same flower. This is maturing first and this stigma is not able to receive the pollens. The third one is a genetic method. Third device or method to prevent inbreeding or self-pollination is self-incompatibility, means non-matching. This is a genetic mechanism which prevents pollen from same flower pollinating the stigma. So let us see over here that in this flower here, when the pollen is falling over here, the pollen, then it is not going to germinate and form a pollen tube. There is a chemical reaction between the pollen and the stigma. The stigma is not recognizing the pollen and allowing to make a pollen tube. This is the third method. This is made possible by not allowing pollen to germinate and form a pollen tube from entering. Here the pollen tube is not entering the style of the stigma, the carpel. So these are the three methods of avoiding self-pollination. Another method to prevent self-pollination is producing unisexual flowers, that is male and female are separate flowers. So in that case there is no problem that pollen from the same flowers fall on the same stigma when the male and female are totally different flowers. The examples given in our textbook, let us see that castor. What is castor? Divel and maize, makai. Both male and female flowers are present on the same plant. It is monoecious. It prevents autogamy but not geitonogamy. These two topics we had covered previously. See, what is geitonogamy? Different flowers on same plant. Now, in some species, for example papaya, male and female flowers are present on different plant. That is, whole plant is male or female. This condition prevents autogamy, that is the same flower. The male and female would be present in the same flower, or geitonogamy, different flowers on the same plant. So both these are avoided. So here this is the fourth method of preventing self-pollination by making totally male and female flowers different on different plants, or placing the flowers in a different way. So here this is the topic we have done just now, the outbreeding devices over here. Now the subtopic is changing pollen pistil interaction. For that you require these diagrams over here. I had told you to practice the diagrams, this diagram, this and this. These are very important. All diagrams you need to draw and practice. Here let us see this diagram. This is the stigma. These are the pollens which have fallen over here. It is forming the pollen tube. See, some are half the way. One has formed the pollen tube successfully, and here it is entered over here. This is the pollen tube. Then this side 3 cells are antipodal. 2 nuclei in the center are polar nuclei. These 2 are synergid and 1 is the egg cell. This is the structure of the embryo sac that we had done. Just now we have finished the topic of outbreeding devices is complete. Now we will begin with pollen pistil interaction. So ready everyone for this topic? Now let me first explain that what is pollen pistil interaction. Let me define that. Here, this is about how pollen acts after falling on the stigma. We had seen several methods that how pollen through the wind, water is falling on the stigma. It is coming from another plant or the same plant. Then it is falling on the stigma. Sometimes the birds, the insect, they are also bringing the pollen to the stigma. Now what? They have met. Pollen has met the stigma. What is going to happen now? Remember that there are possibilities. It would germinate, or it is also possible that it will not germinate. It is a failure also. See, in the diagram over here, pollen tubes are shown half the way. See, sometimes the pollen tube is formed successfully. So it may fall over here, and the pollen, when it is falling on the stigma recognizes that whether the pollen is of the same type of its own species or not. It might reject the pollen also. If the pollen is from some another plant, totally different variety, then pollens are rejected. No pollen tube will form. So this is about pollen pistil interaction. The carpel, the stigma is recognizing the pollen, and if it is of the same species, only then the pollen grain starts germinating and forming the pollen tube, and then it will enter the pistil. Now, sometimes the pollen is of another species. So that time, it is not going to allow the pollen tube to be made and enter the style of the stigma. That is not possible. Now, the carpel, or you may feel that how is that possible? Everything is chemical reaction, recognition by the stigma. So the stigma recognizing the pollen is a chemical reaction, can recognize if the pollen is of the same variety or not, that has fallen on its stigma is correct or matching variety or compatible. For writing in the supplement, you will write this correct terminology, compatible. I am using this two words to make you understand. Or non-matching or non-compatible type. So the stigma can recognize the pollen, that whether it is of matching variety or non-matching variety. Should it allow the pollen tube to form or not to form? So that is possible due to the chemical reactions. Now, what is going to happen if the pollen that has fallen is of the right type? It is of their same species and variety. Okay, then the pistil, that is the female, is accepting the pollen and further events take place. What is the further event? That is making of the pollen tube. Now, fertilization would take place. Where? In the here fertilization is going to take place. But if pollen is of wrong type, pistil rejects the pollen. How? Pollen germination does not take place. If germination takes place, pollen tube is not successfully formed. See how half the way it is formed in some of them. So you have to refer figure 2.12, page number 32. All this is done by chemicals. Remember, communication between stigma and pollen is a chemical reaction. Now, when the pollen grain germinates on the stigma, see, we have done the pollen grains structure. This is the exine. This is the inner layer is the intine. In between here, there is a space known as the germ pore. So, intine comes out and forms the pollen tube like this. Correct? That is this is a germination of this pollen grain forming the pollen tube. Now successfully pollen tube would be formed. Now pollen tube grows through the style and reaches the ovary. Here is the embryo sac, the ovary. So the pollen tube is entering like this, and these are the 3 cells over here. These are the 3 cells on the other side and 2 cells in the center. You remember the 8 nuclei that were formed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 in the center. That topic, previous topic. Now, this pollen grain, when the tube is formed here, that time it would be having 2 cells inside it. a vegetative cell which is big one and a generative cell. This is a topic in the beginning of the chapter we had done. This is a bigger cell, this is a generative cell. The generative cell is going to divide into two. So that are the two male gametes. So this is one cell, vegetative, the two male gametes, 1, 2 and this is 3. See, generative is making these two male gametes. So totally now there are 3 cells. Where? In the pollen tube. Pollen tube is moving ahead. Pollen tube moving ahead. So it will have 1, 2, 3. 3 nuclei like this. One is the vegetative and these two are formed by the generative. This is by vegetative and this is by generative here. So 3 cells are formed. This is all happening when the growth of pollen tube is taking place. Here, see, the pollen tube is becoming bigger and bigger and inside it is having 1, 2 and 3 cells. This one is of vegetative, these two are of generative. Now, how many male gametes are there inside the pollen tube? 2. Here, pollen tube after reaching the ovary enters the ovule through the micropyle. How is this possible? Let us see here the diagram of our book itself. See, the pollen tube started growing and it is coming over here. This is the egg apparatus. These are the antipodals. So now here this portion is this below portion. These 3, 1, 2, 3 are these 3. So the egg cell, these are the synergids. Now here the pollen tube, 1, 2, 3. Again I will count. Nucleus, 1, 2, 3. So here the pollen tube had come. It is entering. This is the micropyle end. See, this is the micropyle end. This is chalazal end. Now here the pollen tube has come like this and it is entering. This is the filiform apparatus. So from the filiform apparatus it is entering like this in the synergid. There are the 2 synergids. So it has come to the synergid and the cells 3, 1, 2 and 3 are released inside. Now what is going to happen about this? These 2 are in the center of the cell. So now all these processes of deposition of pollen on the stigma, germination of pollen grain, pollen tube formation, entry into ovary are all known as pollen pistil interaction. Now very important point over here, children. Where here in your textbook this is over, so that time you stop over here for writing the answer, because here I will show this pollen pistil interaction. Answer begins from here, correct? Include all this and here I have made a bracket, correct? So stop over here for the writing the answer. Which is the answer? Pollen pistil interaction. Answer for writing in the supplementary is ending over here. Correct? Okay. Now we will move ahead with this topic here, this topic, but that is not included in the answer for you to write. Correct? Now, all this knowledge about pollen pistil interaction is useful to the plant breeders, people who are carrying out hybridization, cross hybridization. So taking pollens from one flower and putting on the stigma of another flower, because they want cross breeding between desired varieties. Now regarding the practical work that we are going to do in our lab, so we have to take pollen grains on the slide. One is about pollen grain germinating on the slide. You will see the pollen tube coming out. In that, sugar plus HCl we are going to use, and you can use some other chemicals also. So this is one practical based on pollen grain. We are having another practical also based on pollen grain, and that is formation of pollen tube on stigma, and the chemicals we are using is cotton blue and lactophenol. This practical is different, this practical is different. So when you are going to the other school for giving the practical examination, be careful that for pollen grain, which is the question asked to you, it is this or this, and then go ahead with the work. Now in our textbook we are having some examples. We will see those examples, like pea, watana. Chickpea means the chole chana. Crotalaria is given, that is toxic. Balsam, garden flowers, pretty garden flowers. And vinca, that is the periwinkle. In Gujarati we call it barmasi. See, now this vinca is the flower we will use for practical work, because it's available easy, then it's very convenient to work with it, and the pollen grains that are seen are clear, and after 30 minutes pollen tubes come out of the pollen grain. So all this list of flowers, plant, they are given over here. We are going to use this flower for our practical work. Now there is a small subtopic in this, artificial hybridization. In this 12th standard syllabus we are having chapter 9, and it is having more regarding the artificial hybridization. You know, the plant breeders are interested in crossing different species of plants to combine desirable characters, so they can produce superior varieties. You can take example of rice. In rice, you know, one type of variety of rice would be having very good smell. Another variety of rice would be having long grain, white. So they can cross between these two plants to get a nice variety, a better variety. So hybridization, artificial hybridization is very, very important, and the topic this we have seen just now about pollen pistil interaction, this knowledge the plant breeders are going to use in order to cross two varieties of plants and get variety of their choice. As such, you know, this is all very lengthy process, not done very easily, but it is done in the plants. So artificial hybridization is used to improve crop. For this purpose, only desired pollen grains are used for pollination, while the stigma is protected from unwanted pollen grains. How? By covering the stigma by plastic bag. Now you know, here there is like a technique which is known as emasculation. Masculine means male. E means to remove the male part. So cutting the not the anthers but the whole stamens are removed. So if the flower is having male and female together in the one flower, then to avoid self-pollination, so here this is self-pollination. To avoid self-pollination, male would be cut and removed, and this female would be allowed to stay over here, and then a plastic bag is put like this and it is tied. So now what will happen? Only the female is present over here, and this is the male of the another plant. This plant they want, and this is plant they want as parent plant. So they are going to bring the pollen from here and remove the bag, put the pollen on this female, and again put the bag. This is the idea. Now suppose the female parent plant is bisexual, then it is necessary to remove the male part, that is the anthers. It is done by cutting from the flower. This is known as emasculation. Now what will be done? Such flowers are covered by butter paper and the stigma is safe inside it. So the pollen from this do not fall on the same flower. It is avoided. And now covering the flower by the bag is known as bagging. The pollen is going to be brought from the another flower from here to here. So now this will be hybridization when you are doing it from like desired plants having good characteristic. So here when the stigma attains maturity, it is ready to receive the pollens. Then the pollen grains from desired male parent plant